it really hardened us up over the next 3 years, and it was probably the best thing that could have happened to us, and we learnt to work really hard to make the business work. So, but yeah, sort of don't choose a business or don't choose a location based on stained glass windows or how it looks from the outside. That's, yeah, a definite no-no. So I'm just going to convert to my notes because I kind of forget what I was going to say after that. Make sure I'm covering all the areas. In terms of setting up Honey Birdette, once again, I said we called in lots of favours. I was very naive when it came to visual merchandising. Is anyone involved in retail here? Great, okay. Stock is king. When I first set up Honey Birdette, I had 6 bras on 1 puck and 3 books on the shelf. I was all about white space. Janelle would say to me, can't you put some more books up? I said, no, it's all about minimalism, white space. So we had a business partner that eventually came on board, and he came into us and he said, stock is king, get some more stock on the shelf. We put 100k worth of stock into that store and it started to make money. No one wants to take the last piece of cake, and that's what we found out. And it's just been, it's probably the thing that I learned very quickly, and it's been the most beneficial to our business. We make sure everything's clean, we make sure everything looks spectacular in the store, so do come and see them. But really, once again, no one wants to take the last piece of cake. So you walk in there, the shop's stocked up, you feel confident that it's a good business. And I think that's a sort of a really sort of important thing. Getting back to, I suppose, adversity, some of the things we went through were, you know, we did fight a lot of prejudices. So with the banks, so I don't know if anyone set up an e-way facility. We couldn't get an e-way facility without internet purchasing, basically because of the industry that we were involved in. There's a thing called chargebacks. It was just one of those things. So to this day, we've only got PayPal, and it's only just been, I suppose, in the past 12 months that we've been able to change over to a sort of a banking or an e-way arrangement. So that really, I suppose, that really hampered our business, or our internet business to begin with. We have 15,000 members online, and we have about 32,000 unique visitors per month online. And it's very difficult to get those sales to convert if you've only got PayPal. So there was a lot of prejudice along the way. Leasing agents, you know, we're at West End, and it was only when Macarthur Central decided to take the chance that we sort of managed to move into a shopping centre arrangement. Now you can imagine with toys, it's obviously quite provocative, very provocative for Westfield, which is why we're so happy with getting into Chermside and obviously some other sites that are launching in October this year. But yeah, it was one of those arrangements where we, you know, would speak to leasing agents on the Gold Coast and they'd be like, no, absolutely not. Oh my God, you've got some freaky stuff on your website. And they'd be rabbits, or, you know, sort of whatever the case may be. So we kind of sort of managed to sort of handle that, move on, and the only reason we were able to do that was because we were so passionate about what we were doing, and we're getting just fantastic feedback from customers as well. Customers really loved the store, they really supported it, they told all their friends, they just got absolutely passionate about it, which made us even more passionate. And I was talking to a friend about this the other night, and you always heard about, you know, let's say Richard Branson or someone gets interviewed, and they always talk about the fact that they're so passionate about what they do. You don't get into a business unless you're passionate about what it is. And to be honest, when we first started HB, I found that really difficult to understand, and I struggled with that for the first 12 months because I wasn't necessarily passionate about what I was doing. I knew it was a good idea and I knew it was going to make money, but I wasn't passionate about it. And as time went on, and now I am so passionate about it, I would never let it go. But it really took me a good 4 years of working hard at this business and becoming proud of what we've achieved to become passionate about something. So if you're just starting out and you're reading all of it, because I was reading all this stuff and I'm like, maybe I'm in the wrong business, I'm not sure. Now I understand it, you will understand it, you will get to that point where you become passionate about what you do. And maybe it's because you're sort of, you know, you have a lot of pride about what you do, or whatever the case may be. As long as you become passionate about it, it will get you through the hard times, because there are some really hard times. And it's not necessarily something that business owners will talk to other business owners about. And I think that's why, you know, functions like tonight are so important. And if I knew these had existed 3 years ago, I would have been here every night. We went through some really tough times. Like, you know, Janelle would sort of, you know, be driving into work on a Saturday morning, and oftentimes she'd be in tears. Like, we started this you're 3 months into the business and you're not making any money, and all of a sudden you think, you know, that Ferrari is not going to sort of, you know, come into play in the next 12 months. What's going on? We've got this great idea and we're not making any money. And we were fairly naive when we first went into the business. So yeah, I mean, I suppose passion is one of those things that does get you through. So you sort of you become more realistic, and you become more confident in who you are and the decisions you make as well. So anyway, so we were at West End. We had floods and we had break-ins and we had graffiti. We had a consistent can of graffiti removal spray that used to sit in our sort of, you know, little sink at the back of West End there, and I was out there every week cleaning off graffiti. So that was always fun. And we were building a new shop in the city at the time that we found out that our lease had expired in West End, which we were aware of, but we were just about to renew it, and the head lease had decided that they were going to sell to 7-Eleven. And 7-Eleven came to us and said, we want to put a disabled access toilet in the middle of your store. I said, okay, well that's not going to happen. So we had 10 days to tear down our store. So 10 days. And I talk about adversity, but we'd actually got to the store to the point where it was actually making some good coin. And we were quite happy, and we were booming along, and we were building this new store in the city. And all of a sudden, we're having to, we physically, Janelle and I went in there, we physically had to tear down this store. And it was, I mean, that was, you know, quite heartbreaking at the time, but we got through it. We thought, okay, well, we're going to be a month without a store, but that's okay. And in that time, we sort of put all our energy into the city. And then we cracked on with the city, and the city became sort of, I suppose, the jewel in our crown, because it was the only jewel, but it really did become the place that we started to see the future of the business from. We spent 150 on that fit out instead of 35. We, you know, put a lot of stock in there, and we started dealing with the city worker. And it was really at that time that we started to develop our databases and develop our contacts and develop our media lists. So it was a really, West End was a really good learning curve for us, and each time you sort of look back and you think, I was really unlucky, but in actual fact we were really lucky to have what happened to us. Otherwise we'd be pouring a lot of energy into that West End store, and instead we're sort of pouring it sort of all around to the 3 that we have at the moment. Are there any questions at the moment, or should I just... Yes? So the question was, how did we decide what stock to put in there, and how did we source it? That was very difficult, actually. And it was very difficult to get mainstream or high-end lingerie suppliers to actually deal with a company that was selling toys, and an unknown company at that. So we did a lot of sucking up to begin with mainstream labels. In terms of the toys, there wasn't a lot to choose from back then. You only had things like the Rabbitronic, the Pinguatronic, the Dolphatronic, and just really these horrible devices that weren't great to sell. That said, in the past 3 years, toys have moved from something that's translucent, looks like an animal and sounds like hell, to something that you would put on your coffee table that it just looks absolutely fabulous and is an object of art, and that's completely silent, and it's just amazing. And people are spending up to $2,000 on these products. So in terms of, I mean, I'm fairly sort of aesthetic. Janelle's very sort of, you know, sort of very good when it comes to pricing. In terms of the labels that we chose, I mean, I had a good background in lingerie, so I was fairly confident that I could choose, you know, some good labels, but we did make some mistakes. We made some big mistakes, and we're still sort of, you know, that sort of stock is still sitting in the storeroom. So we picked up labels, I don't know if the girls are aware, Simone Perel, complete dog for us. Pleasure State, obviously very good for us. Chantal Thomas, a French label. You know, she's one of the world's most provocative designers. She's been around for many, many years now, and she is credited with, you know, basically taking lingerie from something that was lacy and pretty to something that was very masculine and very dominant. The label that I'm wearing tonight is Marlies Deckers. That's a Dutch label. She is now one of the world's best. We go to the salon in Paris every year. We look at all the different lingerie labels, and she is spectacular. And it's really one of those labels that you wear if you're going for a job interview, ladies. This is the one to put on, because you feel sassy, you feel dominant, and you certainly won't take any rubbish that day. So, and we go through a hell of a lot of it. So it's a, I mean, it really, we do have a good variety. We tend to go for the more provocative styles. So demi cups sell really well for us, and there's certainly not enough demi cups in Australia. For the lads that are unaware, demi cups go underneath the nipple, and that's why we sell a lot of tassels. The nipple tassels we've just released from Honey Birdette. So we're a little bit all about our own label at the moment. So we've kind of progressed from, and I suppose that's something for the people that are in retail. If you start to pay shopping centre rents, for example, you will have to start doing your own label, because it's the only way you can afford the rents, because the margins are there. So we're very much an aggregate label at the moment. We stock everyone else's brand, but we're quickly moving to the point where we'll have 90% of the shops stocked with HB label, and we're spending a lot of time on making sure it's the highest quality the market can get. And that's been a challenge. I'm not going to go into that tonight because that's a whole other story, but that's been a very challenging process, dealing with the different suppliers and making sure that you communicate with them very well. That's a lot of trips, sort of, just going back and forth and making sure that you get the right stuff. So, all right, I'll just make sure I'm covering everything because I do have a tendency to forget. Okay, so I've talked about some of the stuff that we had to face. Some of the wins that we had along the way. I believe that you can be really lucky in business. Like, we've been lucky in times that we didn't expect to be. So come Christmas time, we had a full-page article by Mike O'Connor in the Courier Mail, and that was 3 days before Christmas. The first phrase he started that article with was "We Vibe." Janelle was working in the Paddington store at the time. We just opened it, and she pretty much stood there all day going, "They're over there, they're over there, they're over there." And we just could not get enough We Vibe. So, the amount that added to our bottom line during December was phenomenal. 2 months later, I had someone come into the city store. I'm fitting her in the change room. We're having this fabulous conversation. I'm telling her all the stories. And she said, "By the way, I'm a journalist for the Weekend Australian magazine. Can I do a story?" Absolutely. So